Hey, I'm the Decathlon Gamer. This is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. You want to see more? Hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2019, episode number 19 in the series, as we continue day after day, providing great content here while March Madness is ongoing. As we've previously noted, we are done recruiting for the season. We do have an injury to our top player, Clint King, right now, but it's just 3 more days, strained hamstring, so we are going to miss him for a little bit. Our first game of the conference schedule is at Charlotte. They are just 2-10, but it is yet another road game. We've had a grueling schedule so far this season, in which we are 9-4 right now. Compared to last season, we had just 4 losses last year, so we are not going to match last year's record, but we certainly could be on our way to a 21 season. We'll need to go 11-5, at least to get there during the regular season in the non-conference schedule, and I think that's well within our capabilities with this squad, barring any major injuries. Last season we made it to the first round of the NCAA tournament. Let's see if we can get a little bit deeper this year, because we were ranked number 11 in the country, flying high, and then went down in the first round, which was very disappointing. So we'll see if we can maybe not match the record or the ranking, but see if we can surpass the postseason level of performance. Coming up, Charlotte, of course. We are pretty heavily favored for that game. After that will be Miami. They are 4-6, at least at the time of the Sky Report, and also we are heavily favored for that one. We have Georgia coming up, not quite as heavily favored. We are at home for that game, though, and they are actually just 4-7 right now, so Georgia really struggling. I think they were relegated last season. Tulane, much closer matchup, but again, we are home team for that one, and they are 6-5. So after all these road games, or at least neutral games away from home, finally, we're getting a chance to play a few home games. Well, let's get to it. Now, the 2 games that we watched in the non-conference schedule were 2 huge matchups, both on the road and both big losses. So it'd be nice to get a win under our belts. Again, on the road. So we have not had a home game, at least of the live coverage. But with Charlotte, I think we should be in pretty good position here to come away with a win. But by the way, I'm still quite confused as to why the 49ers, why they exist in Charlotte. I mean, it does not take... Oh, by the way, Edward Ramey is eligible again and actually found himself in the starting lineup, at least for now. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not quite sure why we get 49ers. I mean, clearly that's a mining reference. And the San Francisco 49ers, for anyone who doesn't know, which most of you should be aware of this, but hey, not everybody knows their history terribly well, right? In 1948, see, there you go, 1848, gold was struck in California. So with the discovery of gold, word comes back to the East Coast. At that point, California was barely populated. Word gets back to the East Coast that gold is struck, and from there, the Oregon Trail really takes off as people start heading to the California part of the trail and heading down to the West Coast to find gold. Likewise, people sail around. Maybe that's where. Maybe they sailed out of Charlotte. I don't know. But then sailed around and end up on the West Coast to get rich and find gold. By the way, we've got a tight game on our hands here. It's 24-24. But it was the reason why 49 and not 48 is that arrival begins in 49. And the Bay Area had just, a population of a couple dozen people. We're talking about an absolute... Wow, we're getting killed right now. Timeout. The population, like I said, was almost nothing in 48. And even though that's when gold was struck, it's 49 when this huge droves of population arrived in the Bay Area. And overnight, a city was, well, essentially overnight. In a matter of just months, a booming city, now existed in the Bay Area that became San Francisco, therefore 49ers. Tied to the mining, 49ers. But Charlotte, I don't get it. We do trail by 5 at the half. Let's go ahead and return to the game, and we'll focus more on the game here in the second half. Rebounds, -7. Okay. Turnovers, +3. Both teams shooting pretty well, but we are struggling defensively in this one. But we come out shooting here in the second half, and now have the lead. I shouldn't have used my full timeout earlier. I should have used a 30 because we lost to 30 at the half. And we trail by 4 again, so momentum back in their favor. Got to keep an eye out for the momentum. I'm ready to use the timeout here if necessary, as this is a pivotal point in the game. With the score level at 58. Right now, Granberry's got 12 points and 8 boards, 6 of 9 shooting. He's having a good game. Watkins has 12 points to go with it. Harrington's got 7. King, another quiet game. Of course, he is injured, but Granberry's got 4 fouls. What about King? Just 2. So why is he struggling so much? I don't understand. Finally starting to see ourselves in control a little bit, but with 7 minutes to play, it's just a 2-point lead, 66-64 in this one. They are down to 42% shooting, so defensively we're doing a bit better. Rebounds are pretty much level, turnovers pretty much level, free throws pretty much an even thing there. They are doing a little bit better beyond the arc. In fact, they just took a lead with the three-pointer at that end, but we get the 2 here to retake the lead, at least for the time being. And after the rebound, we come down to this end of the court. Long range. Ooh, why? That was inside. Not sure what happened there, but we get a 2 and then a turnover. That was a full court pressure turnover, and we get a rebound after that one. Inside for the layup dunk. And it's 72-67. Free throw there. 4-point lead, 4 minutes to play. Rebound again. Work the ball to the outside. We get it into the elbow. Again into the elbow. Still feeding it around. Defense. There's difficult contested 2-point shot there, and it's 74-68. That ball goes out of bounds. Team rebound offensive, but second chance there, and nice. Feed the ball down to the block and get the shot. 76-68. They do get that one back, though, 76-70, but it's looking like we should come away with the win here on the road. After struggling in the first half, second half has been ours, though that score just got a little bit closer, 76-70. Let's go ahead and use one of those timeouts now. Timeout? Timeout? No? Come out of the timeout and it's their ball. 78-77 all of a sudden as Charlotte catches fire. Not sure how that timeout became their advantage. That was very, very confusing. Let's go ahead and use that last timeout here. 80-77, 30 seconds. Ooh, they got the rebound. Full court pressure, come on. Missed shot, rebound, this could be it. There we go, free throws. 81-77, final seconds. Rebound is ours, game is ours. 81-77 is the final. In the end, we finally took the advantage in rebounds, +7. Turnovers were level. Field goal percentage favored us towards the end. Free throws favored us, but they only fouled in that desperation moment right at the end. We never shot the ball well from three-point range, so the absence of that certainly hurt. Donnie Jefferson with a double-double, 12 and 10. King, another quiet game for him, but of course he is playing hurt. 7 and 7. Watkins, 16 for him. Just 4 of 12 shooting, though, so there's kind of one of the areas of difficulty. Granberry fouled out, 12 points and 8 boards, so he had potentially the biggest game other than Jefferson. So we come away with the win, but only just. That was a pretty poor game. Obviously, we were down at the half. It took a good second half to come away with the win on that one. Next up, finally a home game, Miami of Ohio. If you didn't see the last episode, we were pretty much on the road or in neutral territory for virtually the entire non-conference schedule at Cincinnati. Neutral tournament that we won, 2 home games, and then at Portland State, North Carolina Central, Florida. And that's where our losing streak started, at Florida, A Division Florida. We'd lose by 20, and then we turn around and lose to Stony Brook and Portland, all on the road. Finally, a third home game, and that was all we had for that non-conference schedule. And then at Sam Houston State again, and then we open up our conference schedule on the road at Charlotte. So we've had 3 home games out of 14. So 11 times we've been away from home, or at least neutral. And by the way, Cincinnati 12-1 right now. And how is it that they beat Duke and are 12-1? Why is Cincinnati not? Oh, they're 22. They must have had, besides that Duke game, a lot of really weak opponents. But it looks like they could be Division A, which means we would have had 2 games Division A. No, from the looks of it, this is Division A. We've already confirmed that. It might be that Cincinnati's Division B. Well, anyway, we've got the next 3 games at home. That'll be a nice relief after such a long stretch of road games. As we begin to sim through, and we'll push through this Miami game here. In terms of the actual NCAA tournament, I'm releasing a video a day here going along with the tournament. However, I recorded late last night to come out with a video today, but I'm still on today, and the games this afternoon and this evening have not taken place yet, so no new games, but I will talk about today's matchups, which you'll be seeing this as yesterday's matchup. So in real time, it's down to the Elite 8, but the last 4 games of the Sweet 16 have not taken place. So here's my predictions for that. You could already tell me how wrong I am about those predictions. LSU, Michigan State, tough one to call. I think those are 2 evenly matched teams. I really think it could go either way. But if I were to pick from those 2, it would be Michigan State. But only just. Another injured player. Our season's done. Clint King has a torn Achilles and is out for a full year. How is that? That is a full tear. That's grade 3 tear, torn Achilles right there. I had a grade 2 torn calf, just an inch and a half or so above the Achilles, and grade 2 of those are extremely similar in how they come out, and that was just under a year ago. That was 10 months ago, and I was only out for a month and a half. That is nasty, absolutely nasty. F you, game. F you. Seriously. That is so not fair. Crap. Game was a win, 82-67. Our season just took a nosedive. high hopes have just turned into what can we manage to do now? King only played 8 minutes. He's literally just came back fully from that injury as it was finally behind him about a day earlier. He played through it before, so I mean, if there was really a danger of injury, that danger had already passed. So that is a new, fresh injury. Granberry only had 2 points in the game. He had 7 points already in those 8 minutes, a few boards, and he is now done for a long time coming. Rainey ended up player of the game, 17 points for him. Recently back from his academic suspension. And now the top player in the conference is out for almost a year. I mean, it's going to be in the middle of the non-conference schedule next season before he's even back and eligible. And that is if he doesn't declare for the draft, which is still a possibility. Despite the injury, it is entirely possible that he will. I mean, perfect example, University of Oregon's Bol, son of Manute Bol, true freshman, outstanding player, plays 9 games, injured out for the season, but he is declaring for the draft. Of course, his isn't going to roll over into next year as King's will, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean he won't declare for the draft. So, is that Clinton King's career done with us? Or will he be back next year? Taking a moment to soak this in, going through the stages of grief here. And now we move on. I need to change the depth chart here. Runyon obviously is going to take over. At least he's a good quality player, but without that 6th man now, we are absolutely losing. I mean, we're down to 3 players at 2 stars is all. So each of these guys are going to move up. Finger, Reiner, Hunter is going to end up getting some time now. So, this is still a decent team, but it's absolutely nowhere near. I mean, we are going to miss those 12 points and 11 boards a game. I mean, if you look at where we were conference leaders at individual ones, we had the top 2 rebounding guys in the conference. We had the top steal guy or second in steals guy in the conference. We had the top block guy, and a lot of that was King. Second in the team in scoring. That is going to be incredibly hard to replace. Sub rotations, go ahead and run an update on that. So, we have a 2-0 start to the conference schedule. Now I'm not even sure that we are on our way to promotion at this point. We're going to have a much tougher battle on our hands. 20-win season at this point is now going to feel like a pretty big accomplishment. Anyway, like I was saying, Michigan State slightly over LSU for Sweet 16 is my prediction. North Carolina and Auburn, 1 seed, 5 seed. I feel you got to go with the 1 seed on this one, as North Carolina does look like a pretty good team. Not a team that's necessarily going to win themselves a national championship, but I think they are definitely the better team than Auburn. But again, that could be a pretty close game. I think Auburn could certainly challenge. 1-4 matchup. Duke, the number 1 overall seed, the number 1 overall player, Zion Williamson, of course, super exciting. Virginia Tech. You're going to hear it here. You're not going to hear it many other places. But I think that the Hokies can pull off the upset. I am not buying into Duke as the number 1 overall seed. I think Duke should have been a 2 seed even, let alone the number 1 overall. Don't get me wrong, Duke is really good, and Zion Williamson is the real deal. But they haven't been anywhere near as good as a team as people have thought. I think the Williamson bandwagon is a little too bandwagony. I think it's a little overhyped. Only a little. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good team in Duke, and they absolutely can beat Virginia Tech. I do not think that Duke is going to be the national champion. I don't know if they're going to go down here in the Sweet 16, or if they're going to go down in the Elite 8, or if it's the Final Four. But right now I am convinced that they will not be the national champion. I think any number of teams can knock them off. And speaking of overhyped teams that aren't going to go as far as people think, Kentucky, Houston, 2-3 matchup. I think Houston's going to win that game. I think Kentucky's going down as well. I think those two teams are both a bit overhyped. I think Houston looks really good. So, that's my prediction. We'll see how wrong I am, or how right I am. At the time that you're watching this, if you watched those games last night, you already know. So you can laugh at me in the comments, or tell me I had it right. Obviously, for me, I'm hoping I'm right, but hey, it's not a big deal if I'm not. So that's what I think, though. That's what I think. All right, we won both of those games, so we are 4-0 in conference, 13-4 on the season now. Upcoming, we've got Wyoming, who are just 4-9, 5-10 now, and let's see, you take out Clint King, and all of a sudden we go from 60-70% to small advantages. Chattanooga just 5-9, small advantage. George Washington, there's an 11-5, and that's been a tough team. Remember, this was our top competitor last season, and I can't even really look at our team stats anymore because we are a different team without King. We're looking at close to 50-50 chance, and we're going to be on the road. They are also 4-0, so maybe we'll sit and watch that game, see how the team does without King. South Carolina heavily favored, even though they are just 1-3 in conference. Anyway, national rankings here in game, not real life. Syracuse right now, number 1, and we've reached that point in the season as we're in that conference schedule that teams really just start beating up on each other. The one surprise there, North Carolina State, 16-1 record for them, but still only 10th in the nation, but I can see them moving up. Iowa, down there 19th at 15-1. Northwestern, still just 2 losses for them. Cincinnati, right, that team we played early in the season, 14-3. That was our season opener. Usual suspects near the top. Syracuse, though, who used to live around the top 4, haven't quite been there of late, so a little bit of a surprise to see them number 1 in the nation. But Indiana, Arizona, Kentucky, Duke, Gonzaga, Purdue, all usual suspects. UConn's another one of those that hasn't quite been there of late, but re-emerging near the top. There, of course, North Carolina. Michigan's another one of those that doesn't tend to be in the top 10 very often, but they kind of come and go. Of course, in the Sweet 16, they just got blown out by Texas Tech. Now, 2 days ago for you, for me that was just last night, they were bad. I didn't watch the whole game because I was watching the Ducks game. They were playing at the same time, but yeah, that was bad. We do get that win. We're 5-0 now. Next up, Chattanooga at home. So good chance that we'll go to 6-0, and actually we just have. So 15-4, 6-0 now in conference. Don't have to worry about relegation, but I don't think losing Clint King was going to put us in that kind of position. Though here's another injury, Grant Harrington, who's now our sixth man, with Ramey returned to the lineup. Sprained ankle, 12 days for him. I mean, this has been a season of injuries. We had 3-4 injuries before King went down. In fact, King was injured and just coming back from injury when he went down. So this has been a bad season. The injury bug is biting, and a vicious little bug he is this season. Slightly favored over the Hokies. Ever so slightly favored over Georgia Southern. And this is a home game against a 2-4 Georgia Southern, and we're only 52%. That's how much worse we are without Clint King. So the fact that we've won 4 straight since he went down injured, plus the game he went down injured in and barely played, so 5, if you're counting that game, is a bit of a miracle here. We've got South Carolina and George Washington both coming up. Not going to watch both of those games, but I would like to see one of them. So why don't we go one day at a time here, and we'll pick. I suppose the win streak is active now, so it would be better to watch the South Carolina one because it's on the road. I have a good feeling that this could be a loss. In fact, this could be 2 losses coming up here. And I actually do suppose that this could be a good time to take a gander at the standings and see where we're at before taking our first 1 or 2 conference losses. I think if we go 1-1 in these 2 games, I think we'll be in good shape, even though South Carolina is actually only 7-10 on the season, just 2-4 in conference. I still think that they've got to be the favorites to win this game. But here we are now with George Washington still undefeated in conference. Georgia's only loss to us. But we still don't have much clearance because we've got 3 teams at 4-2 right there. So only a 2-game difference, and we very well could lose both of these games. So automatic promotion is still definitely not a thing. We're 8-0 at home, but we are 7-4 on the road. So in terms of RPI, we are now top of the conference. George Washington, though, just about right there with us. I'm thinking, oh, look at that. Entire association, we are 4th in steals in the nation at 9.9. There's something. You know what? We've watched 2 games where we absolutely got blown out, and I think that might be the case with George Washington. I think the South Carolina matchup is a better matchup. I think we're hands down going to lose to George Washington on the road. I don't think there's much chance of winning that one. We could, but I don't want to watch another blowout. South Carolina, though, they could blow us out. They could beat us. We could win. Meaning I give us 40% chance of winning this game, which means we actually could have a game here. So let's watch this one. So Ramey now back and has some stats. He's 11 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, 2 rebounds per game. Watkins now up to 13.7 points per game, leading scorer. Runyon for off the bench most of the season, now at 11.6 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, nearly an assist a game. Granberry really should be hitting 10 points per game here soon, sometime. With the absence of Clint King, he should be picking up some of that slack scoring. But it looks like Runyon, for the most part, has kind of stepped right in, scoring-wise, but not rebound-wise. So we're definitely not getting the rebounds we were getting before. First 2 minutes of the game, and scoring was 2-2, but we get the next 3 points to lead 5-2 early on. Rebounds +1, turnovers only 1 in the game so far. Only 3 made field goals here, 4 minutes into the game. Not quite Texas Tech and Michigan, as they had a score just like this at the 9-minute mark. Actually, the Ducks in Virginia weren't far off from that either. Very low-scoring game. It was, what, 53-49? Something like that, final. It's 10-8, 10 minutes played. Now 12-8. We've got ourselves a little lead here, but South Carolina comes back. Scoring at both ends, though, 14-10. Rebounds +2, turnovers now +3. Shooting, neither team. We're both below 40%. Only 6 free throw attempts in the game and only 2 makes combined between the teams. The real difference is that we are 3 of 7 beyond the arc. It's 23-14. 2 of 6 from the free throw line out. Combined, we are 2 of 8. That is nasty. (29-19), 10-point lead with 2 minutes to play here in the half. No momentum. Let's go ahead and, or not. Fine. I had to use that timeout before the half just to use it or lose it. Final few seconds. 33-27 at the half. Rebounding is definitely going our way. So is the turnovers. Both teams shooting about 40%. I think that biggest difference was the three-pointers, 3 of 9, where they're 1 of 7. Look at that, 2 of 7, 2 of 4 from the free throw line. That is ugly. Second half underway, and quickly open up a 10-point lead with the first scores of the half. But South Carolina coming right back, 3 quick points there. Now 5 quick points. And they've got themselves a little momentum here to open the half. There we go. 2 more quick scores. I think we got a turnover on full court press too to make that quick 4 points and a 3-pointer, and it's 47-36. Foul on that one helps South Carolina cut the score back down to 10. But they lead by 12 here, and it looks like we could. We got 12 minutes to play. 10-point lead is nothing at this point, but it looks like we could be on our way to a nice road victory here. In terms of the players, Runyon is stepping up in the scoring here, and he does have 6 rebounds. So since stepping in to replace Clint King, Runyon is doing a great job. Off the bench, well, let's see. Anyone? Someone? Lofton? No. Hunter? No. So I'm not getting the bench production. It's still really coming down to the starting 5. Eric Wynn's got 4 assists. Jared Fingers got 5 points. But I'm kind of down to just 5 guys that are really producing right now, especially with Harrington not playing. Harrington has not played a minute in this game, so we are without him today. But it's 65-52 here with just 3 minutes left to play. And yes, I do think we are going to come away with the win on this one. So Runyon's up to 20 points now. Watkins has 15 of his own, but definitely player of the game is senior Brennan Runyon, who started at power forward as a freshman and a sophomore, but then King came along, relegated him to the bench. He's back into the starting lineup now and really making the most of it, and we win the game 72-57. Big story was turnovers +9 in that department. Shooting was pretty similar for both teams, but 500 from beyond the arc really had an impact. Both teams were terrible from the free throw line today. I mean, we were better beyond the arc than we were from the free throw line. And we keep the win streak going. 7-0 in conference now. 16-4 on the season. And another injured player. That is absolutely the story of this season. Injuries. Edward Ramey now, sprained finger, 13 days. Most of them have been sprains. But of course, the big one goes without saying. Let's go one day at a time here so we can see the box score on the George Washington game. If we're down Harrington and Ramey, and of course King, I think George Washington is going to win this game easily. I mean, they're probably going to win by 20 or more points, even though we are 7-0. Regardless, we are down our best player, our starting point guard, and our 6th man, who was a starter most of the season while Ramey was out. All right, a moment of truth. If we could win this game, we cruise to promotion. But I don't expect that to be the case. I very much expect George Washington to win this one. I think they've got a 90% chance of winning this game. We are down way too many players, and we're on the road. And there it is. Win streak is done as expected. George Washington has come away with the win. And like I said, I think they're going to have won it by 20 points. Let's see if I was right in that prediction. We'll go back and check out the box score here. Not quite 20, but 71-55, 16 points in the end. So not far off from my prediction. Let's see. Granberry, 1 of 12 shooting. 2 of 7 for Runyon. 3 of 7 for Jefferson. 5 of 14 for Watkins, so our leading scorer with 14. Yay! But 5 of 14 shooting. Not good. Not good. We actually led at half. All right. Georgia Southern coming up next. Slight edge for us, but we are at home. Hokies after that. St. Louis from there. 65%. Yeah, good odds on that one. That's another home game. St. Bonaventure. They're pretty good. 5-3 conference record. But we are at home again. Top 30. Clinton King's going to be out of this competition now. He was in the right around the 30 mark early in the season. But right now the favorite is the center out of Indiana. This Georgia Southern game will not be easy with the absence of these players. we definitely are going to need 3 or 4 more wins. I don't think 3 is going to be enough. I think we're going to need at least 4. 11 and 5 could be enough. So 4 and 4 the rest of the way could be enough to get the automatic promotion. And these next couple games with those injuries are going to be very tough. All of the games are going to be really tough without King, obviously, but the addition of Rainey and Harrington is going to cause us a bit of extra difficulties. But yeah, you look, here we go. Association leaders for the conference, King and Granberry, top 2 rebounding guys in the entire conference. Watkins, top steals guy in the conference. You've got King has slipped to 3rd in the blocks. Jefferson is 5th in the blocks. So let's see just how dominant our team is, or was, prior to the injury. Got the win against Georgia Southern. I wasn't convinced that was necessarily going to happen. Virginia Tech, 13 and 18 on the road. That very well could be our second loss. I think 3 wins out of these last 7 games should be enough for an automatic promotion spot. We'll check in after this game to see just where things at. My prediction is we'll be 8-2 here. We've got a chance though. Virginia Tech can be beaten. Nope. 17-6, 8-2 in conference, which is still outstanding record. I mean, we've got an 80% win percentage in the conference right now.
You have new mail.
6 games left. We've got Charlotte coming up again. They are still pitiful. Central Michigan coming up again. They've done okay for themselves. We won't be favored quite as much as before. In fact, we are favored to lose this one by a small margin. Charlotte, that's a home game, and they are awful. So, yeah. But look how they are awful, and we're only 62% favorite. I mean, that's how big of a drop it was, losing King. All right, so 6 left to play in conference. George Washington now on top, 9-1 in conference. We are 8-2. Tulane is 8-2, and there is absolutely nothing guaranteed about this. I don't even think 11-5 might not be enough. St. Bonaventure and Georgia are breathing down our necks. Virginia Tech, Central Michigan are still only 2 games behind. I mean, mathematically, we've got 6 games to play. Literally no one is eliminated yet. Even Charlotte and Wyoming and Georgia Southern still technically, mathematically, have a chance to get into the top 3. That's all obviously going to change this week. And, this bottom tier is going to get eliminated from promotion contention. But, it's tight. I'm surprised how clearly split we are. Most years, you have a lot of teams around 500. Not the case at all. We literally have just one. St. Bonaventure. Oh, where were they? 7-3. Oh man. Okay. It's actually a pretty big matchup coming in that game. I'm at the end of my time for the episode, so I'm only going to get a couple more games in and not be able to watch any of them. So we'll move forward at least 2 more games here. Get through this week. It'll have to be box score only. Injury front, Ramey's got 2 days left on that sprained finger. Now 1 day, so we'll get him back. Harrington's already back to full strength. That helps our chances a lot in the game coming up. Their top rebound guy, Collier, grabbing just 6 a game. None of those numbers between Jax, Boston, and Collier are outstanding in any sort of way, which means they have to go team effort. And they're just 10 and 11 overall for the season. So even though they are 7-3 in conference, this is a great chance to put that rubber stamp on our authority over the league. Got the win. Nice. Big one. 91-68. Wow. Granberry, 8 points. Runyon had 11. Watkins, big 20-point performance on 9 of 12 shooting. 7 assists to go with it. 5 turnovers, though. That hurts. Ramey had 21. 7 of 14 shooting. Just 4 assists for the point guard, but he only turned the ball over once. So, assist to turnover ratio a bit better than his counterpart in the backcourt, but the backcourt absolutely won the day for us. Big halftime lead, stretched even further in the second half. Just a few lead changes early on. Largest lead was 1 point, so very much in the opening minutes of the game. Watkins, player of the game. And we're going to go ahead and stop it there. So 18-6, 9-2 in conference. Now, doing that math, some teams are going to start to be eliminated. In fact, George Washington has lost, so he's got a 3-way tie at 9-2. That's the mark, because top 3 are automatic promotions. 4th spot going to that tournament winner. So now we've got some eliminations here. These guys can't get there because at the worst we can all go 9-7. So that eliminates those bottom 4 teams from promotion contention, unless of course they were to win the conference tournament. But the automatic spots, they are eliminated. And we're now looking at only a 1-game edge over Georgia, so obviously nothing is guaranteed at all. St. Bonaventure, though, now 2 games behind with our win there over them. St. Louis, 12-12. Next up, they're 5-6. So another winnable game because it's at home, but another one that's not going to be easy. But that'll get us our 10th win if we are able to pull it off. And my prediction of 11-5 being enough, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're now looking at maybe 12-4 being enough to get an automatic promotion spot. So we've still got some work to do here in those final 5 games. Let's take a look at our schedule as we wrap this up. St. Louis, we've got Charlotte at home, but otherwise we've got Central Michigan, Miami, and Tulane. Right, Tulane's up there, so they're one of those 92 teams. Central Michigan 6-5, so that's not going to be an easy one on the road. Miami's definitely beatable. We should beat Charlotte. we should beat St. Louis. Miami should be. That would be 3. That would be 12 wins. Central Michigan's not going to be an easy one, and Tulane, I'd probably pick them over us, as we'll be on the road for that final game. So we'll need to have gotten to 12 wins prior to that Tulane game. You never know, maybe even 13. And that would mean we'd have to win all 4 to get to 13. So pressure's on for the final stretch of the season, and then of course whatever postseason we've got coming after that, that'll all take place in the next episode. That'll be tomorrow as we continue on, and I will record tomorrow, and of course I'm recording a day ahead of time here. So the Elite 8 will be set, and my Lady Ducks will have played their Sweet 16 matchup, so I'll be able to analyze that one as well, as the women's tournament will be halfway through the Sweet 16 come that time. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Throw in a little like to the episode for some sympathy for Clint King, if you don't mind. Same time. Bye for now.